There's one rule my dad, a car salesman, drilled into me that I use in ATM negotiations. It's the kind of principles that can make or break a deal, and I've seen it firsthand. Whether it's negotiating surcharges or contract length, this one lesson completely shifted how I handle business. Trust me, once you understand it, you'll never look at a deal the same way again. So here's one of the lessons that I learned from my dad, who was not in the ATM business, but he was a car salesman early on in his early 20s. And when we were talking about the ATM business, he was telling me about how he learned to talk to customers and some of the things that he did. He taught me when he was selling cars, you either had your choice of you had quality or you had your choice of price. You couldn't have both. So if you were getting into a certain car, and you guys all know this if you ever went car shopping, they usually have 3 levels of the car. They have their entry level, then they have the mid level who has more bells and whistles. Maybe they have leather seats, maybe they have a superior sound system or bigger wheels or bigger rims. And then you have the top level, usually maybe have leather seats and they have more bells and whistles. So if you wanted the top level, you were gonna pay that extra maybe $2,000-$3,000 for that level. And down here you weren't. So he said, you know what, when you're dealing with the ATM business and you're trying to negotiate the surcharge, or you're trying to negotiate the length of the contract, you got to think if the customer can't have both. If they, just like in the car business, if they want the higher level, then they got to pay for the price. If they want the lower level, they can save in the price. And so what I did is I internalized some of that information into the ATM business, making my rule of thumb. You can have price or you can have a length of contract, but you can't have both. So what I always say is, look, here's our standard deal. Standard deal is $3.50 surcharge, 50 cents goes to the location on a 5-year location agreement. Now, if the customer wants to negotiate a better split, I said, no problem. I don't have a problem with that. So I can give you the dollar, but I want a longer period of contract. Or if they say, hey, I don't want to sign a 5-year agreement, I'm only going to sign a 1-year agreement, no problem. I don't pay you any surcharge. My rule of thumb is you can have both, but I want a longer contract or I want more surcharge. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll walk away from the deal because I don't let the customer dictate both. They can't have price and length of contract. So that was one of the lessons that I learned basically from my childhood, talking to my dad, who was a salesman when he was younger.